So before we begin cutting together the animatic, I'm just going to import my audio, sound effects, and temp music. Boom. So here's everything I'm going to be using, and I've also added an additional VFX folder, which I didn't mention earlier, but I came across a visual loop video of fog that I've just downloaded from the internet that I think will be a pretty cool thing to use to add fog onto my storyboards. Let's just have a little look-see. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's getting pretty spooky already. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to create an adjustment layer that I'm going to place on one of the top video tracks on the timeline here. So I'm just going to stretch this out a bit here so I can see what I'm doing. So now, I think we're ready to go. So, if you remember how the story begins, we start with a black screen. We hear intense sounds of meat being sliced and forceful cracking noises. I've got a BG frame here, which is just a black frame that I'm going to use as a template to inform how much length of my frames I want black, and a helpful guide to cut out pieces of these sound effects I got here. So let's search here in the SFX folder, meat cutting sounds. Okay, let's just have a listen. Okay, cool. It's quite a selection here. Press I to cut where in this video you want to start in your edits, and then O to where you want to cut it. Drag it into the timeline. Let's just have a listen to the other one. Oh, that cracking sound sounds pretty good. I think I'll use that. Okay, let's place them in the timeline here and have a listen how they both sound next to each other. Nice, nice. Okay, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now I want to add something suspenseful in the background. I found these cinematic sounds I came across on the internet, which sound pretty cool. Let's just have a listen. Oh my god. It's getting pretty spooky here, guys. And Halloween isn't too far away. I think I'll go for this. I want to build up the suspense here. Since the opening is one seamless establishing shot of the restaurant in this secluded area of the British countryside. Going for a bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre here. Probably the most important ingredient of all in horror is building the suspense to let the audience know what they're in for. You know, they're going to be in for a wild ride of thrills and kicks. Just going to drag all the frames in the first shot of this short. So what I want to achieve in the opening sequence here is I want to mimic a camera doing a half rotation and tracking out away from the restaurant, and then it will continue to reverse between these hedges until it comes to a stop once it reaches the end of the journey. So I'm going to do a bit of animation with these boards, timing it with sound effects and music I've placed in the timeline, and I'm going to go to the effects control window here and click on these stopwatch symbols next to the position and scale controls to key in the animation on these storyboard frames to achieve what it is I'm trying to visually convey here in the opening section of the animatic. Okay, going to add this first title card. I'm going to put in a placeholder for my company / brand name. Modern Pictures. Just going to use the safe margins so I can just see if it's centered. Scale it and drag it. Place that above the BG. And it's going to appear in front of the first storyboard frame here. I'm going to go to effects here. I'm going to look for a film dissolve. And I'm just going to animate the title card rotating out of frame as we rotate and pull back away from the restaurant, if you remember back from when I pitched it to you. Now, I'm going to add this fog here. Just going to cut out a section. Yeah, this is a good section. And place it here. Then I'm just going to go to the effects control here. I'm just going to go to this little box here where it says normal, and I'm going to change it to screen. So now you can see my moving storyboard frame and the visual effect are merged. Now I'm just going to squish and retime the rest of these boards that make up this shot. Like so. So we're going to fade into the opening scene along with the ominous sounds and cinematic temp music. I'm just going to tinker around with this for a bit. So I'm just going to time lapse here. So here's the opening scene. These were the finished boards that I wanted to show you here in this edit, as it just makes a great introduction in this section of the episode, I think, and displaying all the technicalities and tools used in Premiere Pro. I think I'll adjust the sound levels in the audio mixer. Some sounds are a bit too loud. Okay, cool. That's one scene cut together in animatic form. So next is the long whip pan that I mentioned that will take us to the next scene. I'm using some old storyboard frames from my Burger Royale animatic, and I'm just going to duplicate, use a flip tool from effects, And I'm going to use the horizontal tool and flip this one. And then I'm going to continue to duplicate the two along the length of the build-up cinematic sound I've placed on one of the audio tracks on the timeline here. Just have a quick little preview here before moving on. Wow, it's getting pretty creepy here. Now let's get out the storyboard frames for the first shot of scene 2. Just going to change this to list, hold down the Alt key, select all, and drag them onto the timeline. Now I'm going to get out some audio for Marty's grunting, whose voice was provided by a friend of mine. His name is Nathan Joseph, who happily volunteered to voice the character, which we had a total blast of a recording session. Deanna, the voice actor who voiced both Danica and Selma, she was a real trooper. Managed to get some great screams from her. Okay, just going to start Marty's audio here. Have a listen. Now I'm just going to change the length of some of these frames and getting the actions to match the timing of the audio slightly. Drag, ripple, delete, same here, like so. Now I'm going to be doing the same here for the rest of the frames, so this is very self-explanatory, so I'm just going to time-lapse through this scene here. Okay, so I've blocked out the scene here. Let's see a preview again. Okay, this is where we break the suspense. I've got some dialogue coming up next. This is Deanna Mikhailovich's voiceover work. She voiced both Danica, our main protagonist of the short story, and Selma. Not too bad. That's something. Again, I'm going to just speed through timing the length of the boards with the sound, audio, and temp music, etc. So now I'm going to play some temp music here. I've decided to use some music from John Carpenter's Halloween here. Just to be clear, this is not the music that I'm going to be using for the finished film. I will of course be using original music like I did in Burger Royale. The music in my last short was composed by a postgraduate film composing student named Stuart Bramwell, and I informed him almost a year ago that I was planning to go on another endeavor on an independent project. I had shown him the animatic to it, the full animatic to it, and he was down for it. But I told him to wait till I finished the film and then I'll send it over to him when the time comes. And then maybe put it in the festival circuit like I did last time. So here's the piece of temp music I'll be utilizing for the time being. Gotta love John Carpenter's music. It's simple, yet very effective. Now I'm going to use the full score of this track here. It's around 2 or so minutes long. Let's see how it fares. Let's just tinker around with the scene 2 section here, and then I'll move forward. Preview it.
Hey, we've just finished unpacking. Jackson and I are just gonna go for a walkabout. Oh yeah, sure sis. Don't be too long, okay?
Oh my god, the music just fits so nicely with the setting and atmosphere I'm going for. I'm just going to chuck in some more fog. Here's some of my dialogue coming up for Jackson, tormenting Danica and trying to spook her, in which he fails at. So as you can see, moving forward from having drawn out the boards and now editing it together in Premiere Pro, we really start to see the movie in its roughest form and get a feel of the movie when adding it next to sound and music. So now I've cut together the first 5.5 minutes of my story into an animatic, along with the imported storyboards fresh out of Photoshop into Premiere, along with an array of sound effects and temp music. So without further ado, let's have a preview of the whole thing this time.
finish unpacking, Jackson and I are just gonna go for a walkabout. Oh yeah, sure sis. Don't be too long. Okay. Sure is misty. Really? Stop! Damn it, Jackson!
Come on, lighten up, Danica. Oops. Oh no, wait, I forget. You never do.
Shut up! I wonder what's down the other end of this.
Dunno. Oh. Let's go see.
Damn it, Jackson!
Sorry, I'm so hungry.
Hey, look!
Huh? Oh, right. Food!
You think this place is open? Looks run down.
It's a weekday. It must. Doesn't seem to be anyone in here. Well, must be open.
I don't know. I'm not too sure this place is in active
Oh, fine. You wait here and I'll go look around.
Unbelievable.
So we have an animatic. We now have a blueprint that we can use to follow through from as a guide that will be of help for myself as I move forward into the next stages. Last thing I'm going to do is export it out of Premiere. So Control M, high quality 1080p, name it Beyond the Hedges, part 1 and export. Again, this isn't the full version of the animatic. Kind of torn between whether I want to show you the full animatic or not. We'll see. Maybe depending where my mind is at, I might just show you the whole thing section by section as I'm working on it. All in all, this was my goal for this part of my series, covering the pre-production process of my independent shorts and breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. We're not quite out of the woods yet. There is still some other components remaining, such as character character design, layout, and keyframes and character poses. So for next episode, I'm going to be covering with you is character design. As promised, I'll be showing you how I take a rough conceptual design of my characters and refining them into considered character designs for 2D animation, which is the part that I thoroughly enjoy, and I look forward to showing you my methodology and how I break down my turnarounds, which should make for a fun few episodes. So until next time, see you all in episode 5, same bloody time, same bloody channel.